The importance of good to great and why people should read it. Some books appear for a season, spark conversation, and then fade away. Others, however, become timeless guides, frameworks we return to again and again because they speak to something deeper about human potential. Jim Collins' Good to Great is one of those rare works. At its heart lies a simple but piercing truth. Good is the enemy of great. Think about that for a moment. Most of us don't fail because we're incapable of greatness. We fail because we settle. A company that's doing good enough resists change, even when the world shifts around it. A career that feels secure can become a golden cage. A life that's comfortable often keeps us from reaching for excellence. Mediocrity isn't always loud or dramatic. More often, it's quiet, safe, and seductively easy. That's why good to great matters. Jim Collins and his research team studied companies that outperformed the market by wide margins for decades, compared to similar peers that never made the leap. What they discovered is profoundly hopeful. Greatness is not about luck, timing, or brilliance. It is about choices disciplined, courageous, consistent choices. And if companies in mundane industries like paper, groceries, or banking can rise to extraordinary heights, then so can we. The lessons of this book stretch far beyond business. Yes, CEOs and executives have drawn heavily on its insights, but so have educators, military leaders, nonprofit founders, and individuals searching for a roadmap to live more intentionally. Because greatness, as Collins shows, is a universal pursuit. It is about clarity of purpose, discipline of action, and the courage to keep going when progress seems invisible. Take the Hedgehog Concept. Focus on what you are passionate about, what you can be best at, and what drives results. That principle is as relevant to a teacher designing a curriculum as it is to Walgreens deciding store locations. Or consider Level 5 leadership, the paradoxical blend of humility and fierce resolve. That's not just for CEOs, it's for parents, coaches, and community leaders who quietly shape lives with steady, sacrificial strength. So why should people still read Good to Great decades after its release? Because it wakes us up. It reminds us that the biggest risk is not failure, but settling. It shows us that greatness is not reserved for the extraordinary few, but available to all who discipline themselves to pursue it. It equips us with tools, not just inspiration, to make that leap. In the end, Good to Great is less about companies and more about us. It asks the question every person must face. Will you settle for good, or will you choose to be great? Who Jim Collins is, his life and philosophy. To understand Good to Great, we must first understand its author. Jim Collins is not just a business writer. He is a disciplined researcher, a teacher, and a living example of the very principles he champions. Born in 1958 in Boulder, Colorado, Collins studied mathematics and business at Stanford University. Early in his career, he worked at McKinsey & Company and Hewlett-Packard, both prestigious in their fields. But Collins realized that his true calling was not climbing the corporate ladder. It was asking big, timeless questions. Why do some organizations thrive while others falter? Why do some leaders build legacies that last while others fade away? He returned to Stanford to teach and quickly became a favorite among students. Yet teaching alone wasn't enough. Collins wanted to devote his life to research, to dig deeply into the mechanics of success. In 1995, he founded a management laboratory in Boulder, where he and his team began the long, data-driven projects that would yield books like Built to Last, Good to Great, and Great by Choice. What sets Collins apart is his methodology. He does not rely on inspirational anecdotes or personal hunches. Instead, he gathers evidence, compares companies, and lets the data speak. For Good to Great, his team analyzed 28 companies across decades of performance. The goal wasn't to prove a theory, but to uncover timeless truths. As Collins has said, we are not interested in opinion. We are interested in what works. But beyond research, Collins' philosophy of life is compelling. He believes greatness is not a function of circumstance, but of discipline and choice. This belief shows up in his own habits. He famously tracks his creative hours with a stopwatch, ensuring he spends enough time in deep work. he lives what he calls the 20-mile march, consistent progress every day, regardless of conditions. This mindset mirrors his research. Greatness isn't built in spurts, but through steady, cumulative effort. Humility is another hallmark of Collins's philosophy. In Good to Great, he highlights level 5 leaders, those who combine personal modesty with fierce professional will. What's striking is how much Collins himself reflects this profile. He avoids the limelight, credits his research teams, and focuses not on building his personal brand, but on producing work of lasting value. And that is why his voice carries such weight. In an era crowded with self-proclaimed experts and flashy gurus, Collins's quiet rigor and integrity stand out. He doesn't promise shortcuts. He offers principles proven by evidence and lived out in his own life. Ultimately, Jim Collins is more than an author, he's a model of what he teaches. His life demonstrates that greatness comes not from charisma or luck, but from disciplined choices, relentless curiosity, and humble service to a mission bigger than oneself. The purpose of good to great. Every book begins with a question. And for Jim Collins, the question that fueled Good to Great was deceptively simple. Why do some companies make the leap to sustain greatness, while others, given the same opportunities, never do? On the surface, this seems like a business question, but its implications are much larger. It touches on the nature of success, transformation, and human potential. The purpose of Good to Great is not just to analyze companies, it is to uncover universal principles that anyone can apply to move beyond mediocrity. Collins and his team embarked on a 5-year research journey, studying thousands of companies to identify those that made the leap. The criteria were rigorous. 15 years of average or below average performance, followed by at least 15 years of extraordinary, market-beating results. Only 11 companies qualified. They weren't glamorous startups or industry darlings. They were often ordinary businesses in unremarkable sectors, grocery stores, paper products, banks. And yet, they achieved greatness. Why? Collins wanted to strip away myths. It wasn't about luck, genius CEOs, or revolutionary products. It was about choices, disciplined decisions that built momentum over time. This was the deeper purpose of the book, to show that greatness is not mysterious or unattainable. It is accessible, built through principles that apply across contexts. For companies, this meant a roadmap to move beyond short-term wins and build enduring greatness. For leaders, it meant learning to prioritize humility, discipline, and people over ego and hype. And for individuals, the purpose is just as clear, to remind us that we too can make the leap from good to great in our own lives, families, and careers. The book also serves as a warning. Collins begins with the statement, "Good is the enemy of great." This is not just an observation about business, it is a call to wakefulness. Most companies don't fail because they are incompetent. Most people don't stagnate because they lack talent. We settle because good enough feels safe. The purpose of the book is to shake us out of that comfort zone. Equally important, Good to Great aims to provide clarity in a noisy world. Business books often chase trends, offering flashy but fleeting advice. Collins wanted timeless truth. Every principle in the book, from the Hedgehog Concept to the Flywheel, is grounded in data, not opinion. The purpose is not to inspire for a moment, but to equip for a lifetime. And that purpose has resonated far beyond business. Nonprofits, schools, hospitals, even churches have adopted its principles. Individuals have applied them to careers, relationships, and personal growth. The reason is simple. The leap from good to great is not a corporate problem. It is a human calling. In the end, the purpose of Good to Great is transformation. It exists to remind us that greatness is not luck, but a choice available to any organization, any leader, and any individual willing to embrace humility, discipline, and persistence. The key lessons of Good to Great, how to apply them in business and life. The brilliance of Good to Great lies in its simplicity. Jim Collins didn't set out to dazzle readers with complex theories. Instead, he uncovered timeless principles that any leader, organization, or individual can apply to transform ordinary performance into extraordinary greatness. These lessons are not abstract ideas. They are practical, grounded in real-world stories, and deeply relevant to the way we live and work. Let's walk through these insights as one continuous journey. The first lesson is level 5 leadership, a paradoxical blend of humility and fierce resolve. Collins found that the leaders who drove companies from good to great were not the celebrity CEOs we see splashed across magazine covers. They were quiet, modest, often overlooked. Yet, beneath their humility was an unbreakable will. Darwin Smith of Kimberly-Clark is a powerful example. When he became CEO, many doubted him. He didn't fit the image of a corporate star. But his determination to make bold, disciplined decisions, like selling the company's paper mills and reinvesting in consumer products, changed its destiny. Kimberly-Clark went on to dominate global markets, outperforming giants like Procter & Gamble. The lesson is clear. True leadership is not about ego. It's about service to a mission greater than oneself. And in life, this principle challenges us to shift focus from recognition to impact. We don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to lead. We need humility anchored in purpose, and the discipline to keep going when others doubt. From leadership, Collins turns to people. The principle here is simple. First, who, then what? Great companies didn't start with a bold vision. They started by getting the right people on the bus, the wrong people off, and the right people in the right seats. Once the right team was in place, the destination became clear. Wells Fargo offers a striking example. During deregulation, many banks floundered. Wells Fargo, however, thrived because it had disciplined, resilient people ready to adapt. They didn't need constant micromanagement. They managed themselves. The same is true in our lives. Who is on your bus matters more than where the bus is going. Are you surrounded by people who elevate you, challenge you, and push you toward excellence? Or are you weighed down by those who sap your energy? The right relationships, friends, mentors, colleagues can transform your trajectory. Greatness is rarely a solo journey. It is built with and through people. But people alone are not enough. We must also be honest with reality. This brings us to confront the brutal facts, yet never lose faith. Great companies don't sugarcoat their situation. They face challenges head-on, no matter how painful, while holding unshakable faith that they will prevail. This is the Stockdale paradox, named after Admiral Jim Stockdale, who survived years as a prisoner of war by balancing brutal honesty with unwavering hope. Kroger demonstrated this principle brilliantly. In the 1970s, when consumer preferences shifted, Kroger shut down or transformed hundreds of traditional stores, painful as it was. Its competitor AP clung to the past and collapsed. The personal lesson is powerful. Denial is easy, but it kills progress. Whether it's a failing job, a broken relationship, or unhealthy habits, confronting the truth is the first step to transformation. Yet honesty must be paired with hope. You must believe your future can be greater than your present if you act with discipline. Once we've confronted reality, the question becomes, what should we focus on? Here, Collins introduces the Hedgehog Concept, one of the most memorable ideas in the book. Inspired by the ancient parable of the fox and the hedgehog, the fox knows many things. But the hedgehog knows one big thing. Collins shows that great companies simplify complexity into clarity. They focus relentlessly on the intersection of three circles: what they are deeply passionate about, what they can be the best in the world at, and what drives their economic engine. Walgreens embraced this principle, focusing on convenience. Every decision, from store placement to technology investments, reinforced to that single idea. In contrast, Eckerd scattered its efforts and disappeared. The personal lesson is equally striking. Many of us live like foxes, chasing trends, spreading ourselves thin, doing many things, but mastering none. The Hedgehog Concept challenges us to ask, what is my one big thing? Where do passion, skill, and sustainability intersect? Once we find it, greatness comes not from doing more, but from focusing with discipline on what matters most. But clarity must be reinforced by habits. That's where culture of discipline comes in. Collins found that great companies didn't rely on bureaucracy or micromanagement. Instead, they created cultures where disciplined people engaged in disciplined thought and disciplined action. Gillette is a prime example. Instead of chasing quick wins, it invested billions in innovation, producing products like the Mach 3 razor that set industry standards for decades. Its discipline created compounding returns. For individuals, this lesson is personal. Discipline is not about rigidity, it's about alignment. It's about creating systems and habits that reflect your values and goals. An athlete doesn't debate daily whether to train. Training is simply who they are. What if we approached our health, careers, or relationships the same way? Freedom without discipline leads to chaos, but freedom anchored in discipline produces greatness. Of course, in the modern world, we cannot ignore technology, but Collins discovered a surprising truth. Technology accelerators do not create greatness, they amplify it. Great companies didn't chase every new innovation. They first clarified their Hedgehog Concept and built disciplined systems. Then, they used technology to accelerate momentum along that path. Fannie Mae did this in the 1980s, leveraging technology only after redefining its strategy. Others that jumped headfirst into tech without clarity collapsed. The same is true for us. Technology can accelerate our growth or our distractions. Social media, apps, AI, these tools are powerful, but only if aligned with our purpose. Without discipline, they scatter our focus. The question is not what new tools exist, but whether those tools accelerate your journey toward greatness. Finally, all these lessons converge in one powerful metaphor: the flywheel and the doom loop. Greatness is not achieved in one dramatic leap. It is built through consistent, cumulative effort, like turning a giant flywheel. At first, the wheel barely moves, but with each disciplined push, momentum builds until the wheel turns faster and faster, almost effortlessly. Great companies kept pushing the flywheel. They stayed consistent, building momentum over years. In contrast, companies trapped in the doom loop jumped from one fad to another, never building lasting progress. The flywheel principle is perhaps the most inspiring for individuals. Your life is already a flywheel. Every choice, every habit, every action is a push. At first, progress feels slow, but if you stay consistent, the wheel begins to spin, and one day, you find yourself propelled forward by momentum you can hardly believe. A book is written one page at a time. A strong body is built one workout at a time. A great career grows one decision at a time. The secret is not a miracle breakthrough, but steady discipline over years. Taken together, these 7 lessons form a blueprint for greatness. They remind us that greatness is not luck or genius. It is humility plus will, people before strategy, honesty with faith, clarity of focus, cultures of discipline, wise use of technology, and the compounding power of momentum. These principles apply as much to families and individuals as they do to companies. You don't need a corporate title to live them out. You simply need the courage to choose them daily. Greatness is not about extraordinary circumstances. It is about ordinary people making disciplined choices over time. That is the lasting power of good to great. When we step back and look at the full journey of good to great, one truth shines through with unmistakable clarity. Greatness is not a matter of luck, timing, or circumstance. Greatness is a matter of choice. It is built step by step, decision by decision, discipline by discipline. This is both liberating and challenging. Liberating because it means none of us are excluded. We don't have to be born with extraordinary talent, inherit vast resources, or wait for the perfect moment. Challenging because it means the responsibility rests with us. We must decide whether we will settle for good or strive for great. Jim Collins' research shows that even ordinary companies in ordinary industries can achieve extraordinary results when they live out timeless principles. Kimberly-Clark sold paper. Walgreens sold medicine. Kroger sold groceries. None of them began with glamour. yet all of them achieved greatness. If they could do it, why not us? Why not in our families, our careers, our communities, our personal lives? The lessons are not distant business theories. They are life principles. Lead with humility and fierce resolve. Surround yourself with the right people. Face reality with honesty and faith. Focus on your one big thing. Build habits of discipline. Use technology as a servant, not a master. And keep pushing your flywheel until momentum carries you forward. Greatness doesn't arrive in one dramatic leap. It is built in the small, daily choices to stay focused, stay disciplined, and stay faithful. And that means every single one of us has the capacity to begin the journey today. So the question becomes, will you choose it? Will you refuse to settle for good enough? Will you embrace the uncomfortable truth that you are capable of more? The danger is not failure. It is waking up years from now and realizing you settled, that you could have been great, but chose comfort instead. Your flywheel is already in motion. Every decision you make pushes it one way or the other. The choice is yours, the doom loop of mediocrity or the compounding momentum of greatness. And here's the best part. Greatness is not just for you. When you choose to be great, you inspire others. You lift your family. You strengthen your community. You awaken greatness in those around you. The ripple effect of your discipline and courage can transform the world in ways you may never fully see. So let this be your moment. Step beyond the safety of good. Embrace the challenge of great. Live with humility, discipline, and persistence. Keep pushing your flywheel until the breakthrough comes. And remember, greatness is not reserved for the few. It is available to all who are willing to choose it, day after day. Subscribe to Awaken Greatness for more inspiring lessons, and comment below to share your thoughts.